right, well, welcome everybody to another exciting episode of the one and only longevity going. I shouldn't say longevity. The one and only podcast here dedicated to. What the hell are we dedicated to, right? That's a question. That's a question for me to ponder. But anyway, setting aside the nonsense, welcome to the one and only podcast dedicated to the Long Island auto body industry. We're talking about the one and only Crash Course, right? Hopefully you've been following us for quite a number of years now. We started off with the radio show, and we've evolved, and now we even evolved even more because I'm happy to say we're in our brand new home here in Bellport, Long Island. Very exciting stuff. We're in a new studio. I like it. I have to say it's a lot more professional. The other studio was good too. I like that, but this seems a little more homey, a little more comfortable, a little more professionally oriented with respect to the setup. I understand from the staff that we're speaking through some very expensive microphones, so hopefully that hastens your pleasure of listening to the show. Does nothing for me. They look nice, but hopefully it makes me sound a little more enjoyable to you on the other end. But at any rate, yeah, so here we go. Here's another exciting show. We're going to get right into it. I hope everybody is checking out the really cool show we did a couple weeks ago. As I promised to you, we're trying to evolve the format, right? I'm constantly trying to change things, come up with new ideas. So we're evolving the format a little bit here. We're starting to work in guests. If you followed me on the radio show, we were pretty good over there with that. That guy, and that used to be pretty exciting stuff. We'd have guests in from various different genre and businesses and interests. So we're kind of spooling that up again. All right, we had Donna from V&J with us. All right, check that out. I think that's playing now. I know I saw snippets of it on Instagram. Remember, folks, you can find us everywhere that everyone is. All right, we are on Instagram, Facebook, of course. I think we used to be on Spotify. Don't know if we're still over there. And we have a YouTube channel. Please go to YouTube. I love YouTube. Big YouTuber. I'm a musician, drummer. I use YouTube habitually. It's so cool. All right, and I'm sure you folks out there. You find YouTube useful for you. Maybe just on an entertainment level. For me, it's it's entertainment, but it's also I'm a musician. I read music, and I'm in a band. Blah blah blah, and all this other shit. So I love it. It's so cool, and we're there, and we have a great channel there. It's very dynamic, and we continue to grow there. Thank you very much, folks. Thank you very much for everybody that's been following the show for all this time. Appreciate it. Keep spreading the word, right? As I say all the time here, I think we're doing great work here. I think we're reaching out. We've always our premise has always been, our mission's always been to help the folks, right? The mission statement, of course, evolving from Collision Services Network, is that we're here to promote and support the independently owned and operated auto body industry. But most important, though, we're here for the folks, right? That's what gets me motivated. That's why I love to come behind this microphone, because I really think that the information that we have, right? And by the way, the old mantra, right? We're giving you information and knowledge you need and can use, and advice you can trust. And I think that is so damn true today. There is just so much crapola out there, all right? There really is, for lack of any professional word on that. There really is, though. Right? You can Google shit all day. You can Google, how big is an ant's leg? Does an ant, have to scratch himself 3 times a day? It's just absolutely, I find it phenomenal. I'm 62. I find it hysterical. I really do. You just Google it. Back in my day, it was Encyclopedia Britannica, and if it wasn't in there, then it didn't exist, and if it did, it was all a bunch of lies anyway if it wasn't in the Encyclopedia Britannica. I hope some people are laughing about that right now. All right, but be that what it is, or be that what it may, over here at Crash Course, we're about the folks, right? We're about helping the folks, you, me, right, all of us together here, trying to make people more aware about things that we ordinarily don't really think a lot about. And that would, in this case here, that has a lot to do with your insurance policy, the insurance world, insurance products, and, of course, the collision industry, right? I think the collision industry, even today, I think the collision industry is still by and large an enigma, right? I think most people would agree with me in an enigma. What do I mean by enigma, right? So, by the way, there's a word of the day. Last show with Donna, we had bloviating. Today is enigma. Go look it up. So I think it's an enigma in the sense that, people know about it, right? Obviously, we all know what auto body is. You crash your car up, you go there, and they fix up the dents and everything. But beyond that, I don't think people really give a shit, right? They don't really think outside the box, or they don't really think beyond that other than, that's what it is, and I'm never going to need that because I'm a great driver and I don't get in accidents, right? We've all heard that. I was a good driver, too, until 3 years ago when some jackass decided looking at her phone and driving 50 miles an hour was more important than stopping for the fucking red light and cream me, okay? I got injured. I'm paying for that now. My hand don't work anymore, but that's another story. So, the good driver thing, yeah, I guess, right? That's important, right? We all want to be good drivers. We want to try and, always do the right thing and be defensive in our driving. But the reality of it is what? Right? There's always the other guy, okay? The other person. I know everybody probably says to themselves, I'm not the other guy. But, folks, today it's real easy to become the other guy, right? I mean, come on. Let's face it. There's a million different things going on, and none of them have to do with driving, all right? So, so I think it's very important. I think it's very important that, listen, I'm in the industry. I'm in this industry for 30 years, all right, combined insurance and auto body. And I still deal with it. In fact, I think I'm telling you, I've been at V&J Auto. By the way, V&J Auto Body. Let's give a shout out to V&J. V&J Auto Body. We love V&J Auto Body, right? Got a shirt on right here. Woo! V&J. I work over there. I'm a writer. I'm a licensed New York State adjuster. They are our sponsor. We love them. Thank you very much to James and Chandler Rowan. All right, more on that a little bit down the show. But at any rate, I digress here. So, with respect to the auto body industry and the enigma aspect, all right, I just don't really think that people really consider it an important thing to be conscious of, right? Same with the insurance. And I get it. I get it. I mean, because for most people, I think I spoke about this on the show with Donna. For most people on the insurance side, it's a check every month, or maybe you're fortunate enough that you pay your premiums up front for the year. That's great. Good for you. I was doing that for a while when I had money. Now I have no money, so now I'm a pay-as-you-go guy again. At any rate, but it does affect us, okay? And, getting back to my personal case, right, where I said where I'm a good driver, right? I think I'm a great driver, actually. Not to blow smoke up my own ass here, but I think I'm a great driver. And, look at me, right? The other girl in this case hit me, and I got injured, and my car was effed up and everything. It was a big, big mess, and it always is. But, the old adage, right, having information is good, right? I used to say this on the radio show. I don't like that other 90s, remember the 90s with the word empowerment came out? Everything was empowerment. We're going to empower you. We're going to empower people, right? I always hated that. All right. And this other thing I think plays right into that, right? The sense of empowerment when you say that, information, people like to say information is power. I don't actually agree with that. I think I did when I was a younger guy and I was, college guy and everything. And I had all these ideals and stuff and, woo, yeah, information is power. The more information you have, and I don't know, if you have shitty information, is that powerful? I mean, right? Maybe, I don't know. Maybe if you're going to use it for bad stuff, maybe it is. But I mean, generally speaking, folks, information itself is really not necessarily power. All right, and I think we could take that one step forward, which I've said many times on this show. Having the right information, okay, is great. But here, I added this. All right, I added this on. Right, the 90s it was empowerment and information. Well, here in the 21st century, we added our own little hub to that. Okay, information is great. You got to have it. You want it, right? But knowing what to do with it. This is something that never came up with that whole line. All right. Information is power. Having information is great. Nobody ever said to you, though, having the right information and knowing what to do with it, right? Think about it. You could be the smartest guy. I remember I had an instructor, professor. I did my MBA over at Dowling. Anybody remember Dowling? Of course, I did my MBA there, and they went bankrupt in 3 years. Unbelievable. At any rate, so I had a professor. It was managerial, organizational, managerial, something, some hoity-toity title. And this woman had worked for Allstate for a number of years. Of course, she was a middle manager. And, her and I were talking about promotion and moving up and all this other shit. And she said to me, and I thought this was so telling. I never thought about this like this. But she said something to me that stuck in my craw. And she goes, you know what? You could be, right? Now check this out. Now some people out there may have heard this. I didn't hear this before, or what I was, it didn't wake me up or enlighten me until she told it to me in the context of what we were speaking about. And she said to me, she goes, you could be the smartest guy in the room, right? Now think about this in your own life, right? In your own job capacity. I mean, if you're working in a business or whatever you're doing, and you have meetings, okay, and you're sitting in a boardroom or a conference room, or, you're having a unit meeting, or whatever the hell it is you have, right? Whatever you do with respect to, organizational wise. You could be the smartest person in that room, right? Girl, guy, doesn't matter. But she said to me, she goes, you know what? None of that's going to necessarily matter until you're able, one way or the other, to pierce that first level of resistance. And I was like, well, what do you mean? She goes, well, until you're able to move yourself into a position of relevance. And I thought to myself, I'm like, holy shit, me, I was always of the, thing, you got to be smart, you got to be intelligent, you got to be a smart guy, you got to have all the answers, or you got to be able to think outside the box, and you got to be conceptually and have organizational skill, and all that's great, right? But when she said that, it hit me like a ton of bricks. You could have all the pieces of paper in the world. You could have your whole world covered with pieces of paper, degrees, this and that, certificates. You could be smarter than everybody else in there. But unless you're in a position where those people are going to give a shit, unfortunately, for the most part, all of that talent, whether it's perceived or real, will all be for naught. Right? And I was like, wow, okay. That was a deflator. But it was cool to hear that, and this was a person, like I said, who was in middle management in Allstate, okay? Big insurance company. So she was speaking from experience. She said to me, your goal, everybody's goal, right? I mean, if you want to, if you're ambitious and you're motivated and you want to move up, or you want to become you want to occupy a leadership role in a company or a business or whatever the hell it is that you're doing. She made that a point. She said, everyone that seeks that, all right, from day one. So when you get hired somewhere, from day one, if this is you, right? I mean, it's not everybody. Not everybody's cool. I mean, my wife's been at a company for 29 years. She's totally cool with being, one of the worker bees. She's been approached for other stuff. That's not her. That's not how she rolls and everything like that. And that's great. But a lot of us, though, we always want to, upward mobility, right? We're motivated to move on and all that other shit. But she said to me, you need that. It's important to have that information. Check this out, right? I was taking an MBA, so it's important to be educated. It's important to have that information. Important to have that skill base. Okay, important to have the right answer at the right time with the right question. But guess what? Even if you're answering that question and you're not in that position, all right, is it going to matter? Maybe. Maybe on some level it's going to matter, right? Sometimes people get lucky. Sometimes, a boss, a manager, supervisor, foreman, right? Maybe they do pick up on that and they single you out and they help open the door for your career. I don't know. But I'm tying this all into the information part here again, right? When people say to you, oh, information is power, information is... Yeah, it is, okay? But trust me when I tell you, folks, knowing what to do with that information and being able to do something with it, totally different thing, boy. Totally different thing. All right, so And we're going to come full circle, 180 degrees, right back to Crash Course. Okay, because here at Crash Course, that's what we're doing for the folks. Right? We're giving you useful information and information that you can use. And we're also what? We're showing you how to put that information to use. All right? Listen to the way I tied that all in. Boy, I tell you. Huh? So, and I love getting behind this mic and doing that, all right? Because I really think that we do help some folks out there. I think we do get to some people. I know when I had the radio show, it was quite often that we would have people call the show and ask for assistance. They'd have questions on the air, and I would answer them to the best of my ability. I had other people that would call me, on the off hours. And I help people across the entire spectrum, folks, all right? Claims, liability, towing issues, cash values, valuations on their car, insurance companies screwing them on the values. And we talk about that all here on Crash Course as well. All right? So, again, Crash Course, the one and only podcast show dedicated, all right, to helping the folks, looking out for the folks, all right, by giving you information and knowledge you need and can use and advice you can trust. All right, and please, you can go to CollisionServiceNetwork.com. Please go there. All right, check it out. There's a whole wealth of additional information there. There's really cool stuff you can read on your own time and make yourself even smarter. Folks, I've been saying for the longest time now, if you listen to me, if you listen to Crash Course, you will be the smartest individual in the room. All right? I just say, smartest person in the room. All right? You will when it comes to insurance, collision, all that type of stuff. And again, I know this isn't, it's not coffee table. I used to like to use the barbecue joke, about you sitting around a barbecue drinking some brewskis and everything. Trust me, this is never coming up, right? Hey, Joe, did you take a look at your insurance policy yesterday? Oh, holy shit, yeah, I couldn't believe they added this. That ain't going to happen, right? We know that. So that's why I do it. Okay, I read the things you don't want to read. I listen to the things you don't want to listen to, and then I disseminate things that I think are necessary and important for the folks. All right, that's what we've been doing here at Crash Course. And like I said, before we move on here with some more specific subject matter, please check out the show that we did with Donna. I thought it was pretty cool. All right, it was entertaining. Hey, folks, let me emphasize. Crash Course is entertaining and educational. And it doesn't cost anything. It's all free. Doesn't cost you a penny. I mean, come on. Does it get any better than that? All right? We don't ask for a dime here. All right? We just ask for your support and for you to continue to enjoy the show. All right? Continue to spread the word about Crash Course. All right? Let's get it out there. Let's get more people on board. We continue to grow. Appreciate it. Cool stuff. All right, but check it out. I think it was a couple weeks ago. I know that my social media professional, expert, coolest guy in the world, you got to check him out. Barone Media Incorporated, guys. Listen, if this is your gig, if this is your thing, all right, and you need that kind of a service, all right, you're running a business, small business, especially if it's a small business, all right, and you're looking to get a bigger footprint without having to lay out a ton of money, you got to check these guys out, all right, Barone Media Incorporated. All right, my good friend Anthony. All right, the owner. He's going to take really good care of you. All right, you can see what we're doing here. I mean, maybe you can. I don't know, but this is really cool studio. I mean, it's professional, comfortable, very de-stressful environment, very relaxing. Only the best. All right. But the show that we did with Donna, I thought was really cool. Like I said, I continue to say. We had a lot of fun. It was educational. Donna works at V&J with me, and Donna is one of our claim reps. She's a customer service expert, but I call her like a claim rep, all right? So, in other words, she could be working in an insurance company, all right? With the knowledge base and the skill set that she has now, she could easily be on a par of any senior claim rep in a major insurance company, right? And that's the caliber of people we have at V&J Auto Body. And that's why, folks, okay, seriously, if you, your family, your friends, if you need that kind of service, or if you've gotten in an accident, you need to pick up the phone and you need to call V&J Auto Body. All right, they're conveniently located right in the middle of Long Island, Lindenhurst. All right, we have concierge service, 24-hour. We have our own in-house towing. We go anywhere, anytime to pick you up. We'll even deliver rental cars with our tow guy. You don't even have to leave your house, your business. We come to you with the rental, and we pick up your damaged car. Or we just deliver a rental car to you. All right? And, of course, it's a state-of-the-art facility, all right, bar none. All right? I would say arguably probably one of the largest production facilities on the island right now. Certainly, I would say in Suffolk County. Okay? I would put it on. I would put V&J in probably the top 1%. There might be one or two other guys out there in Suffolk, but we're definitely if not the biggest, we're right up there with the biggest ones, all right, which is us. All right, and what does that do for you as a consumer, right? You're saying, big deal, so you're big. All right, that's true, right? Small guy might be very good too, right? Might be very skillful, might be able to do a really good job fixing your car. But here's the rub, folks, all right, and this is a big rub here. All right, and I've spoken about this. I think me and Donna got into this also on the show. All right. 25, 30 years ago when I got in this business, you had a lot of tiny little shops, right? And when I mean tiny, I mean one-car garage, two-car garage operations. They had a curtain hanging in the back where they would spray paint. Okay, they had some holes in the floor that they put chains on and everything. And all this shit, believe it or not, you could fix cars back then. All right? This was acceptable both in the industry, all right, and professionally. I mean, we just didn't have the sophistication, all right, both in the construction of the vehicles that we were driving and the materials and also the technology. Folks, this is the 21st century, though, okay? 21st century. Hello. Wake up. 21st century. Those guys, a lot of them are still out there. You don't want to be anywhere near them. And again, this isn't a dig on their skill level. All right? Hear me out here. Don't read between the lines here. Hear directly what I'm saying. I'm not talking about skill. They could be guys in there that really know how to do the job, work on metal and this and that, and that's great. Here's the problem, though. In the 21st century, the metal is the last thing you have to worry about on the car. Okay? The last thing you have to worry about on the car. In fact, I would even argue that you don't even have to be as skillful as you had to be 35 years ago. When I got in the industry, they were guys that were so good with working metal that they could probably take a door that looked like it got hit by a train and straighten that thing out, and you wouldn't even know there was anything wrong with it when they got done. All right, these are the guys. Those guys are not around anymore. They're either dead or retired, or they went on to do something else. That's the kind of skill to try. But that's the kind of skill we needed back then, right? You had quarter panels that were the size of a whole side panel on a truck today. All right, and it was all metal. There's no aluminum, this other shit. I mean, there was some of that other stuff around, but it was used very sparingly and in very specific instances, probably more on some high-end stuff. So that was needed. Folks, you don't really need that today. Again, this is not to disparage the guys that are out there that are very skillful. We have them. Believe me, folks, we have probably, all right, some of the most skillful and longevity-wise guys that have been in the industry for decades, all right? And that's good. You need them. But I'm drawing a stark comparison about why you don't want to be anywhere near the 1-2 car garage operators today, all right? Because metal is actually, so check it out, right? So when I started in the industry, let's say 35 years ago, you had your heavy guy and your metal guy here. Painting, cosmetic, delivery, technology, electric, all down here. Now, flip that baby right over, man. All right? Flip that pancake. Now it's totally opposite. Pulling? Who pulls anything? There's very little to pull. All right? The only thing that gets pulled is the insurance company. We try and pull their leg and yet make more money. All right? And the metal strip. So it's actually 180 degrees flipped around. All right? I know there's probably some guys out there that are going to hear this that are in the auto body industry. This guy's full of shit. I just know what he's talking about. We fix shit all the time. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying you don't fix stuff. We do too. I get it. All right? The point is, though, is that it is more, by and large, a throwaway industry now. And it's trending in that direction, folks, simply because of the materials and the construction of the vehicles. All right? So the guy in the 1 and 2 car garage operation there who might have been, the guy to go to 30 years ago, He's not your guy anymore. All right? That's not as important. What's important today is the materials in the car, all right? The construction of the vehicle. How was it constructed? The materials that we utilize, both in the exterior and interior parts, all right? Structural and cosmetic-wise. All right? The electronics, the technology packages, all right? And then the calibration problems after. Nearly all of these cars incur some kind of issue with getting them back on the road. All right? Now, again, there's some guys out there that are going to be knocking their head against the wall, and throwing shit at at their screen, saying this guy's full of shit, we just run the thing up to the dealer. Fine, go ahead, run it up to the dealer. That's great. Run it to the dealer. Here's the problem, folks. The dealer don't give a shit. Okay? Unless you're doing work for them, and even then, when you're doing work for them, they still jerk you off. All right? You need an operation like V&J Auto Body, a large, state-of-the-art facility, a holistic approach to auto body, a 21st century approach to auto body, to repairing cars. Nobody's subletting anything out anymore. Right? The guy that used to be able to turn a beat-up fender or door into a perfect piece of finished product, all right? He's got nothing else to offer. Sorry. All right? V&J does, though. We got that, and we got all the other stuff, okay? Holistic approach to auto body is where it's at. That's where the industry's going. And everybody else can put their head in the sand and flip me the bird and say, this guy's full of shit. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Well, okay, good luck. I'm not saying you can't survive. All right? Believe me. Let me tell you. When it comes to economies of scale and all this other shit, the smaller guys got it all over on the big guy. That's for sure. No argument here. Okay? Lower overhead, lower operating costs, the whole nine. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. I'm not going to put my MBA hat on and go through all these different ratios and all the shit. All right? We get that. I get that. All right? A lot easier to streamline a small operation than it is a large operation. Terrific. Problem is, you're simply not going to be able to exist, all right, in this environment anymore without being big, without being a holistic approach. I mean, come on. There's a shop. I'm not going to mention them, okay? But there's a big shop on Long Island, all right? And years ago, they made the decision to buy their own wheel alignment machine. Imagine that. I remember when they did that, it was like, it's fucking bullshit. What are you, out of your mind? You don't buy a wheel alignment. A lot of money, man, right? I think that thing set them back $120,000 or something. Guess what? That thing's been paid off probably 20 fucking years. So now if he's getting $99, because that's all you're going to get from the freaking insurance company, $99. Now he laughs. He don't give a shit. Give me $99 all fucking day. I don't care. Goes right on my wheel alignment machine. The only thing I got to pay is the guy running the alignment machine. Pure profit stream. Because he made that investment to have an in-house capability. That's what V&J does, folks. Okay, we have in-house capability. We don't even utilize outside services for calibrations anymore. And we have our own scan techs who handle the pre and post. We have a separate, what we call technology building. Okay? Sterile environment, targets, the whole 9 yards. Measurements all pre-laid out. All right? Whenever there's any target aiming involved, whether it's for radars, blind spot, lane departure systems, you name it, we got it. Your car never has to leave. It stays with us from beginning to end. And that, my friends, is why you need to be at V&J Auto Body. Okay, if you get in an accident, God forbid, if you get in an accident, you need to pick up the phone and you need to call the good friends over at V&J Auto Body, and they're going to make sure that your vehicles return to pre-loss condition, irregardless of the insurance company. That's becoming increasingly challenging. And unfortunately, in the auto body world today, a lot of guys are just capitulating. And that smaller guy, probably one of them. Right? A lot easier to get along and go along than it is to stand up for principle and your business. Okay? And of course, most importantly, defend you, the customer. Right? But that's what we do at V&J Auto Body. Holistic approach to the repair of your vehicle. Right? One-stop shopping. If you want to use that good old cliche. Okay, we have an on-site rental, and I know that somebody else can. I have rental. I have a guy down the road. I just pick up the phone. Great, terrific, man. Pick up the phone, call them, and if they have somebody hanging around, they can run a car. If they don't, you guys going to sit in the waiting room there for freaking hours until they can run a car down here. Ain't happening to V&J, folks. We got cars right there, right on site. Need a car? Comes right over to you. All right? Very important, okay? And again, this gets back to what? Knowledge, information, okay? Knowledge and information. But what did I say earlier in the show? Good to have, but knowing what to do with it, better. And that's what we do here. And remember, it's all free. We don't charge a dime here. You get smart without having to invest any money. All right, so we're going to wrap up the show. All right, but I want to go through a couple things. I want to wake people up as to what's going on here. You know, like I said, we talk about the insurance aspect too. Folks, this is another reason why I stress all the time that we as consumers, all right, myself, everybody, we need to have a more intimate relationship with this entire process, all right, with the insurance company. It is amazing today. I think it's even worse today than it was 10 years ago when I started at V&J. I don't know if it's the newer generations, the younger generations just don't really give a shit. Their head is in the sand. They could care less. They care less until they have an accident, and then they want to know all the answers. All right, but it's getting tough, folks. It's getting really tough. If you're with State Farm and Allstate, pay attention. Pay attention, because they just keep reinventing ways of not paying you. All right, when I say not paying you, it's not paying me. But understand something, folks. Here's why. This is what we do. All right, on Crash Course. Understand, folks. When they don't pay me, they're not paying you. Right? Okay? I'm not doing work for them. I'm doing work for you. So if you bring your car to me and you say, "Hey, I'm with State Farm or Allstate," and they're going to send somebody down, they're going to, Allstate says that I'm in good hands. State Farm says they're a good neighbor. I don't know what kind of neighborhood they're living in, but they're not too good with us. All right, and Allstate, yeah, I don't know about their hands. They tend to drop a lot of shit with their hands. So, but serious though. All right, when you hear a body shop saying, "Well, I can't get paid for that," or they won't allow for that, all right, that should set off a red flag. Now, that would never happen with us. I shouldn't say would never, but 9 times out of 10 with V&J Auto Body, because of our relationship with most of the insurance companies. All right, because of how we handle ourselves, because of what we've demonstrated to the insurance industry with respect to our professionalism, our reliability, okay, and our sincerity, all right, with respect to dealing with their adjusters and everything, trustworthiness, building up, building relationships, all right, interpersonal relationships, all right. Because of that, all right, you're better served. You're better served when you come to V&J because of that, because of all those things I just laid out. All right, the likelihood of having a major issue with any insurance company is very, very slim because of that. That being said, love that one, right? We all love that one. All right, the insurance industry, and this is national. This isn't just locally, although locally we have our own, our own individual things that are particular to the tri-state area. All right, but on a national level, the insurance industry is really pushing back on a lot of stuff, folks. All right? Now, remember what I said earlier about people need to get more involved in this shit. All right? So they're pushing back nationally, okay? And like I said, locally we have our own more specific issues, all right? So here's an example. I made some notes here. All right. So calibrations, all right, are becoming a real sticking point. Just 2 years ago, not a big deal. Present them. Remember what I said about V&J? We do everything in house, right? We utilize, we're licensed under a corporate veil, okay, to do business as V&J in the calibration and pre and post scan world. But recently, within the last year or so, okay, more so with State Farm and Allstate, all right, because these are the two big boys on the block, and they're constantly, reinventing the wheel here when it comes to finding ways to not pay you. And again, when I say pay you, I mean pay me. But when paying me is not paying you. So if they're not paying me, it's not paying you. Because if I don't get paid, You're getting charged. All right? This is what people need to understand. There's no, it's your insurance policy, your car, not mine. So when you come to a body shop and the shop says, I need $8,000 to fix the car, and State Farm says, well, I don't give a shit. We're giving you $7,000. Well, wait a minute. What do you mean you're giving me $7,000? Yeah, that's what we're giving you. Folks, I'm telling you, it's getting that bad now. They have single-handedly destroyed, dismantled the very fabric of the process that was put in place, which is negotiating in good faith. Good faith means what? It means both parties agree that the goal is to get on the same sheet of paper and get these people back in their car and get them on the... That's gone. They blew that right up. It's been blown right off the table now by both these companies. All right, and one of the areas, remember I used to tell you about rental. Rental's an area they've identified years ago as a pinch point for trying to save money on you. Well, guess what? The calibration thing, there we go. Okay, here we go again. So apparently now they've decided through their infinite wisdom, and this is because they have tremendous amount of leverage, right? They're big, a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of attorneys, and a lot of special interest. So they go out and they gather all these data points, they crush them all together, and they say, you know what? Screw you. This is what we think on average we need to pay for all this shit. Okay? So calibrations are becoming a real issue, folks. All right? And as far as the dealership thing, good luck. All right? You go to the small guy, and he's like, yeah, I'll just send it up to the dealer. Oh, yeah. All right. See how that works for you. They're not paying, folks. They don't give a shit anymore. All right? Challenges are being levied by insurance companies on price and time. All right? Price and time. So I have a Scantech. All right? This guy's, he has received advanced training for various technologies. Okay? We've sent him to different schools and everything. All right? So the man deserves to be paid, right? I got to pay him. Pay him for his service, pay him for his time, pay him for his skill. No. These companies say they don't give a shit no more. They don't care. All right, there's a lot of emphasis on shifting to OEM service. All right, now I just got done saying about the dealership. But this is a catch-22. See, what they're saying is, okay, well, we're going to bypass the body shops. We're going to give them a menu of shit to pay. If they don't want to pay for it, bottle it up, ship it up to the OE, and we'll pay them. But here's the problem, all right? They don't want to help us get the car to the OE. OE, I mean the manufacturer, right? The dealership. All right, so portability and time, right, becomes a major issue. Now, I know some folks, stick with me here. I know some folks are probably starting to say, well, what does it have to do with me? It has everything to do with you, though. This is what I try and beat in everybody's head, folks. If they're not paying us, that means they're not paying you. All right? This is important shit, man. Okay? Body shops don't have, body shops operate on very narrow margins, all right? And gone are the glory days, right, where they had a lot of money sitting around a petty cash drawer or buried in the backyard somewhere. That's gone. Don't exist anymore. There's no deductible funds, rainy day fund. That's all bullshit, all right? So these things are going to start to impact the consumer, us, you and me. They are. Right now, I spoke about this a while back already. Okay, you can go look up one of the shows, and I told you about what's going on out west. And, what goes on out west tends to migrate here in some form or fashion. A lot of guys are starting to get this notion that they should start considering a copay. All right? Wake up. All right? Everybody should get a nervous tick. We all know what that copay bullshit is, right? Come on. We all have health insurance. You got deductible, co-insurance, copay. Yeah. So some wizards of no out there think that this is a great idea going forward in the collision industry. Well, we're going to charge a copay. Now, this is in addition to your deductible. This is what I'm saying, folks. This is why you need to wake up, get involved in this shit. You have a $1,000 D, and all of a sudden you get hit with a copay. You're going to be like, what's a copay? Well, Mr. Customer, I needed another $325 to finish painting your fucking car, but the insurance company, they didn't agree with us. So now you got to pay for it. So now your deductible went from $1,000 to $1,350. Probably not going to happen if you come to V&J. All right. The other thing here, all right, I just got done saying they blew up the whole tradition of negotiating good faith. For some reason now, they've gotten foggy on the definition of pre-loss condition. I'm telling you, folks, you can't make this shit up. You're looking at a guy, listening to a guy that started the shit back in '86. I know New York State regulation inside out. I think I'm losing my brains. I'm not. I'm as sharp as a tack at 62 as I was at 18. But I'm telling you, these guys will make you back crazy. I swear, it's like I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore sometimes with these jackasses. All right? I'm not kidding you. They don't even want to agree on what pre-loss condition means. I shit you not. Now, my interpretation of what that is, and what it's always been, is the way your car was before that jackass hit you is the way it better look when it leaves the body shop. While State Farm and Allstate, they're a little more foggy on that nowadays. Okay? They're not really in for the, they're not down for the struggle anymore. All right? They're like, well, we're going to kind of modify that pre-loss condition shit. I'm telling you can't make that up. All right, it's some other stuff they talked about, clarification about deductibles. All right, I just talked about that copay bullshit. Some body shops out west are now considering using these what are called payment demand letters. Folks, listen, you know the deal here, Crash Course, right? We are honest, unbiased, unfiltered. You come to me because you know you're going to hear the story firsthand here, and it's truthful. All right? What I always say, information, right, and advice what you can trust. So check it out. All right? It's being peddled around in other parts of the country. All right? That body shops should start thinking a little bit about like a payment demand letter. So you come in, you sign the paperwork, and you're signing a payment demand letter. The payment demand letter is going to demand that the shit we can't get from the insurance guys, you're going to pay me in a copay. Specific regulatory laws to support the payment. All right, to support that too. Consider involving Better Business Bureau. So there's some options here. We're looking into it. V&J. Okay, we're working with my competitor. I'm not going to mention their name here on my show. All right, because they're not worth my time. I don't really think that I don't really know what the hell they do anymore. They know who they are. If you're in the industry, you know what I'm talking about. All right, but there's various different things. I think V&J, Better Business Bureau, Chambers of Congress. Jeez. I'd like to get to the Chambers of Congress and drag them out and smack them around. No, Chambers of Commerce, all right, legislative representatives, local state representatives, and stuff like that, all right, and various business associations. These are different things that V&J that we're thinking of that we can maybe start to access and maybe energize to start to get them to think about these different things that are going on and get people more involved. Yours truly, I was involved with Assemblyman Gandolfo. I think we still are. Unfortunately, our first effort did collapse. I'm sorry to say. If you follow the show, you know what I'm talking about. I was trying to get the regulation changed that would force the insurance companies to have to use a paint material guide. Folks, I can't tell you how expensive paint materials are. Remember I told you about the pancake, right? Flipped over. Well, guess what's on top now? Painting. No shit. Painting is one of the most important things in the technology stuff. And expense-wise, it's just out of control. All right, out of control. And, of course, the insurance companies, they don't want to pay for it. Going to have to pull together. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of talk about trying to, bring various disinformed groups together. In other words, groups that maybe not necessarily work together on in a normal fashion, but have some variable common interest. I don't know. That's being talked about. Lobbyists, we need to think in terms of trying to get lobbyists, people that are going to actually be up in Albany and get in the face of these people that do nothing up there but spend our money. All right, we need to consider tightening definition of regulatory language. And that's what I was trying to do. I was trying to get the reg. Well, to Assemblyman Gandolfo, thank you very much. All right, for your effort. I know he did say that he wasn't giving up. He was going to try and go the legislative approach. All right, but unfortunately, the regulatory approach, they basically told him to go pound salt. He did have a meeting with the Department of Financial Services. They shoved a bunch of lawyers in his face and said, we're not going for this. There's not going to be any regulatory changes. So, again, I don't know what your political stripes are. You know what I say here on the show, right? You shouldn't have any political stripe. We should just be thinking about America and us, all right? The people, the folks, right? Folks, this is another example of unelected bureaucracies, all right? The Department of Financial Services is a regulatory arm in New York State. It's a bureaucracy. Nobody in there is elected. They get a paycheck and they get a pension, all right? They don't give a shit. The lawyers, who the hell knows? The lawyers are all a bunch of bottom feeders up there. Half of them probably have a practice on the side as well. So, they're sucking off the taxpayer and then they're making something on the side as well. So, this is what goes on, right? So he's a damn assemblyman, an elected position, an elected official in the government, state government, and they literally told this guy to go pound salt. That's what you get today. And this is the problem, folks. Wake up. This is the problem. It's a problem on a state level and a national level. Unelected people. And nobody gives a shit until it affects you. Right? A lot of people, what does that mean? They have a job and this and that and this and that, blah, blah. Yeah, until it affects you. Then all of a sudden you're like, whoa, what do you mean? Whoa. What do you mean you don't want to help me? Yeah, I don't give a shit. I'm not getting elected next year. I get a paycheck every week, dumbass. I get paid. And I was given this job, and I'm going to do the job the way I want to. All right? And anyway, I got a little long in the tooth there. I think the show was a little choppy. All right, I apologize for that. It's my first time getting back at it in a couple weeks. I'm in the new studio here. I'm kind of, looking around. I feel like a wild animal that's been, trapped and brought back to a zoo or something. And I'm looking around trying to check out my new abode here. All right, but at any rate, I hope everybody got something out of that. All right, I know it was a lot. It was a lot of information. A lot of different points were made. What I would say to summarize the takeaways here is insurance companies are getting very, very aggressive. It's becoming a very, very difficult space to work in. All right, I'll put it like that, as far as being a body shop. All right, even more reason why you need to be with an organization like V&J Auto Body. Okay, seriously here, V&J Auto Body. All right, that's going to be able to bring the kind of weight that we can bring because we've been around so long, because we've established ourselves as a respectable, reliable, professional operation. All right, we follow the rules. All right, we try and play the game the right way, by the rules. We treat everybody with, immense respect. All right, even the people we don't agree with, that we don't necessarily like. Right, we're very respectful of V&J. All right, and all that translates into a better outcome for you. All right, it translates into a better outcome for you. Right, our customer. All right, you end up somewhere else, folks, and what I just laid out here: insurance companies getting more aggressive, pushing back on certain things. You end up in the wrong place. You're gonna have problems, right? You're gonna have problems. You're gonna have headaches. Okay, and insurance claims, all right, can be. I've talked about this. They can be daunting, right? They can be intimidating, especially if you haven't been through this before. All right, and God forbid you were injured. That's a whole other thing you got to deal with. All right. So the last thing you want to have to hear is that they're having problems with the insurance company and we can't get this or that. Or how about this one here? All right, I'm sorry, shit, turns out I can't get the parts. They're restricted parts and I can't get them. Blah, blah. So, what I always say, folks, you need to know who's repairing your car, why, and how. Very important, folks. Can't just drive in anywhere anymore. You could be driving a car that's restricted. What do you mean by that, Pete? What I mean is you drive into Joe Blow's Auto Body and, he needs work. So he's not going to tell you, yeah, leave it with me, blah, blah, blah. Get the insurance guy out, go through the whole 9 yards. A week and a half later, only to find out, oh, yeah, listen, turns out I can't get the bumper, I can't get a fender, and I'm not allowed to buy anything. So a week and a half has been wasted, and now you're aggravated. Okay? So that's what this was all about here today. All right? It was about perspective and about letting you know what's going on, what the trends are with the insurance companies, and why it's so important that if you get in an accident, you get your car to V&J Auto Body, all right? You can find V&J. They're in beautiful downtown Lindenhurst, conveniently located in the middle of the island, 631-226-0070, and you get to see me. How great is that? I mean, how cool is that, right? You get to see little old me. You can say, hey, that's a jackass on the podcast. I'm there. I'm there every day from 8 to 4:30. All right, come on down. We're going to take really good care of you. And most importantly, we're going to have we have the tools, the technology, the technicians, the people, the skills, all right, and the professionalism to get you back on the road. All right, folks, we're going to leave it at that. Thank you very much. Remember what I said? Go to YouTube, please. You like YouTube? Everybody loves YouTube, right? Come on, admit it. Go to YouTube. Check us out. We have a great YouTube channel there. And check out the show that we shot a couple weeks ago with me and Don. I think it was a lot of fun, and I think you'll get something out of it. All right, I'll see you on the next episode.